you listened to my last few videos, I've talked about how I'm bait and you shouldn't attack me because you'll end up on the plate. I want to say that other things in your life, I'm not in your life, I'm nowhere near you. Wherever you are, I don't care if you're next door. I'm not near you. So I'm bait to people that I come across. Like I said, I make myself vulnerable, so you will attack me. God wants you to attack me. So you learn your lesson. The same lesson every animal learns when they go for the bait. But I want to tell you about other bait that is in your life, and it's money. Money is a big form of bait in your life. The lotto jackpot, it's bait. That's why everybody goes for it. It's like moths to a flame. $1 billion jackpot brings about a lot of moths. That big paying job, that paycheck, it's all bait. It's all bait. When you go for it, what happens when you go for it? You go for that high paying job. You end up in a cage. Most people think they want a high paying job. That's why they go to school. That's why they work hard at the low paying job so they can be promoted to a high paying job and all that. They want to go to Cabo and play golf while everybody else is working. But when you take bait in whatever form it takes, you end up in a cage. Like wild animals, they catch with bait, and as soon as the animal goes for the bait, they find themselves trapped in a cage, or a snare of some kind, And that's what happens to you when you go for the high-paying jobs. And, I would say even the low-paying jobs, but I know it's hard. I know. Because right now you're saying, well, if I don't go for money, how do I feed myself? How do I feed my family? How do I keep heat in my house and all the things I use money for, clothes and stuff? And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And that's why bait is so attractive, because it is easy. That's why I make myself a victim that you go after, because I'm easy. I'm wearing a skirt. I'm wearing my nails. Makes me an easy target. You think it's easy to go after me, nothing's going to happen to you if you do. Who's going to attack you for attacking a man in a dress, kind of thing. And you don't know. That's the bait. Who's going to attack you for going for that $100,000 a year job? You think you're safe. You think, I just won the lottery, kind of thing, But it's a trap. It's a trap. Money's always a trap. Just like I'm a trap, money's a trap, Get that $100,000 a year job now. What happens to you and what happens to your family, They get used to that money, They get used to that money. You buy a house that you can afford. You buy a car that you can afford. You send your kids to a school you can afford, and now you can't do without that money. So it becomes a noose around your neck. This a sling around your neck, you know. And you're in a cage. You're in a cage within a cage, you know. And the funny thing is, like, you know, when you have bait and it's trying to attack animals and you're trying to get the animal caught in a cage and stuff, other animals are trying to get that bait too, you know. It's like a competition to go for the bait. That's why when you go for $100,000 a year job, you know, you're not the only one going for it and all that. So it's competition. And you think if you get the job, you've won the competition. And you've actually lost. But, yeah, it's just, and then when you have the money, and you have the house and the car, and scam artists, and people that want to steal that money from you, that don't want to work for it, you know. They want the scraps. They want to blackmail you. They want, you know, break the law, and the lawyer wants $50,000 to go to trial. So now your $100,000 a year job, $50,000 of it just went to a lawyer. So how much did you really make? You know. So, like I said, I'm redefining winning. What is winning? You know, is the $100,000 a year job winning? And today, you know, $100,000 a year job sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's really not. You know. And it's hard to get. There aren't that many of them out there, and the ones that are out there are taken, or there's someone in line for it when it gets free, and you're not in line. So, yeah. And you think, my friend owned a 7-Eleven, and he walked away from it. He didn't sell it. He walked away from it. He gave it back to 7-Eleven, corporate 7-Eleven. He gave it back to him. Yeah, you run the business. I don't want no part of it. Because he didn't make any money. He didn't making like $35,000 a year, working 24/7, having to worry about everything that the store made you worry about, and paying all the bills that you got to pay, and you know, it just wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it, you know. But all those companies, you know. That's why people that make money with 7-Eleven, they own like 10 of them, you know. But they got a lot of headaches, a lot of responsibility. But money is a trap. You know, you go for the lottery money, you win the lottery. Say you win it, I mean, chances are you're not. But if you win it, you got to pay the tax, and gets you used to that money. You buy a car you can't afford. You buy a house you can't afford. You know, you blow through the money because you have no education or background with money, and you don't know how to handle that kind of money. Or you hire a lawyer or an accountant to handle the money, and they steal all the money and embezzle all the money, and you got no money. You might go to jail, but you're not getting the money back. The money's gone. So it don't matter to you, you know. A fool and his money are soon to part, and that's you. So you're not going to win the lottery again, so that's really not an option. Money's a trap. I already told you what happens to billionaires. They can't spend their money. They got a big number in their bank account, but they can't spend it. They can't even count it. They have so much. There's no way they can even count it. Yeah. And people steal it, and they don't even know they stole it. You know. No. It's fucked. And those people are very cheap. You know. They don't want to pay a penny. No. So you've been trained since you're a child to count your pennies and your piggy bank and all that. And you want to fill the piggy bank so you can get another piggy bank. And some people use coffee grind cans and fill them with cash, and they use a bank, saving their pennies. But what are you really doing? Well, if you got to save your money in a coffee can, and whatever you're going to buy with that money, basically you can't afford it. You can't afford it. So, I don't know. I want to say there's hope when it comes to money, and the only hope you can have is don't take the bait. I don't work. I haven't worked since I was 29 years old, and I'm 57. I'll be 57 in a few days. But I'm not saying I had an easy life because of that. I didn't. But God provided. God took care of me. God put me in a position where I didn't have to work. And He took care of me. He's still taking care of me and always will take care of me. I didn't rely on my boss to pay my bills. Well, I did because my boss is God, so God paid my bills. I just came from a diner where I had a cheeseburger deluxe. I live in government housing. I live off a government check. And I'm eating a cheeseburger. No, I should eat. I should be able to eat. And I'm not saying that's like privilege. Unfortunately it is now. I get $20 a month in food stamps. So I don't know how you're supposed to live off that. I spend $20 in food in one day. That's my month's supply. So it's really a scumbag thing they do to you. But I'm not going to starve. I know how to manage my money. So, yeah. I won't be going to Cabo anytime soon. But I didn't take the bait. I walked away from the bait. I said, oh, that's bait. I'm going the other way. There's a cage there. There's a snare there. There's a reason they want me to take that bait. So I'm not taking it. I walked the other way. And I'm free. I'm free. I woke up this morning because my eyes opened up. Not because of an alarm clock. Not because I had a job that I had to go to. I just wasn't tired anymore, so I woke up. And last night I was tired and I fell asleep. I didn't have to fall asleep at a certain time because I didn't have to get up at a certain time. And all day long today I've been on my phone. I got coffee and a muffin and my cheeseburger deluxe, and I've eaten all day. I'm not dying. God takes care of those who take care of God. When you work for God and you always put God first, you don't have a thing to worry about. But like I said, you most likely won't be driving a Ferrari or a Mercedes-Benz anytime soon. Or living on the big house on the corner, But that's all bait. The Ferrari is bait. The Mercedes is bait. That big house on the corner is bait. Go for that bait and see what happens. The house becomes a prison. And the car becomes a trap. You have a Ferrari, and you can't take it to a lot of places. You can't park it in a lot of places. So, And if they steal it, you'll be very upset. You know, so whenever you park it somewhere, you're always on edge. You're always looking out the window, making sure it's still there. You know, but who wants to live like that? I don't want to live like that. I think you can tell I'm pretty calm. I'm serene. I'm relaxed. And you can't buy that. $100,000 a year job won't give you that. You know, can't buy peace of mind. You know, I don't have to worry where I'm going to live tomorrow. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to eat tomorrow. You know, and I'm helping a lot of people in the process too. You know, every person I come across, I help, whether they know it or not, directly or indirectly. I help them. So, I don't force it on them. I don't tell them, sit down, I got to help you. You know, I have a court order to help you. You know, no. They walk away from me and they don't know I helped them. You know, maybe a week will go by and they'll be like, man, that guy really helped me. That guy really set me straight. You know, I found out something about myself that I didn't know. You know, and that's golden. That's worth so much. You know, it's not minor. It's not petty. It's huge to find out something about yourself you never knew. And that's what God does and uses me to do it. You know. So I went to the movies the other night. So the big movie that cost me a couple hours. I don't care. I don't regret it. It was a great movie. I recommend it to anyone. I'm not suffering. And I don't want you to suffer. I'm not trying to make you suffer. Unfortunately, you might suffer because when you find things out about yourself that you didn't know, it's unsettling, you know. You have to come to a realization that it is you and it's a trait or a personality thing that you really do have, or a problem in your life you really do have, and you have to fix it. You don't know how, so it could be unsettling at the best. But once you solve the problem that I bring up in you, you'll be much better off. You'll be much better off. You know, if I bring up that you're gay and you gotta probably divorce your wife, tell your kids, and that's hard. That's unsettling. You know, but down the road, if you find yourself with a boyfriend, you're happy, you'll be happy. And, you know, to deny yourself that, you're not going to be happy. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, you might break up with a girl today and find the best girl in your life a month from now. You know, God got rid of that girl so you could be available for this girl or this guy. So, just because you're doing something today doesn't mean there's not a future purpose for it or a reason you're doing it that's going to come and reveal itself in the future. You know. You know, and you can't always plan it. You don't plan it. You don't break up with a girl because you know you're going to meet one in a month. It might be a year. But you know, when you go to the supermarket, you buy a bunch of bananas. You don't plan to eat those bananas in one day. Over the week, you're going to eat the bananas. And the ones you don't, you'll make banana bread out of. You know, so nothing goes to waste. You don't buy a bunch of bananas hoping to make banana bread, but it's quite a possibility that that's what you're going to do. You know, and God had, in a way, had that planned. You know, it's kind of in those lines. You know, You don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it. And that girl you meet in a year, maybe you'll have a kid with her. Maybe you'll marry her. Maybe she'll lead you to her girlfriend who is your real girl. I don't know. I'm just putting out scenarios. But whatever. There's no God is working with you. He's planning your life. He's got a plan for your life. Stop fighting it. You know, if you're really feeling a pull to break up with somebody, or you really feel it's not working, or they do things that make them reveal themselves as not being a good partner, they're cheating on you, they talk bad to you, or they treat you bad, those are all signs for you to move on. You know, don't fight it. Move on. Something better is down the road. You know, but you know, if you stay, it's going to get worse. If she cheated on you once, she'll cheat on you again. You know, and this time you might get AIDS or an STD if she cheats on you. You don't know. So, red flags are red flags for a reason. Don't ignore them. Yeah. And that's why I'm telling you, money's a red flag. It's bait. It's bait. I was an accountant. I could be a multi-millionaire right now, a couple times over. But it's bait. It's bait. I don't care how much. I don't care what the number is. You know. No. Money can't buy happiness. Just remember that.